Hi folks, so we have a new moon in Leo at 11:10 in about half an hour. And the video is going to get uploaded later today. And those of you who follow my channel know I tend to distribute my new moon videos after the new moon. And I'll do some processing on it over the next day or so as well, but the video will be there. Let me just dive into this new moon. And I have done 2 videos already on the most important transit that this new moon is encoding. So check out my last 2 videos on the Mars-Uranus North Node conjunction that is going to be being squared by Mercury and Saturn. That is the most significant astrological event that this new moon is encoding. But the new moon in and of itself is also trining Jupiter, and not just Jupiter on any other day, but Jupiter on the day that it is stationary and preparing to go retrograde. A new moon trine Jupiter, I can't possibly imagine a more favorable new moon transit in the middle of the internal chaos that is being caused by, and the word internal is very important, by the Mars-Uranus North Node conjunction. In the middle of this idea of dealing with situations and determining to our pleasant surprise or uncomfortable surprise about what is really right for us or not, which may mean that there are certain situations that can be continued through conversation and understanding and the spirit of compromise and renewed understanding in a way that serves one's sense of authenticity, or in other cases, it could be that there's the uncomfortable dawning of a realization or the uncomfortable certainty around a realization that has been dawning for some time that some situation is not right for us. And so, I don't know that it necessarily prompts us immediately to take an action to end a situation, as much as the inner prompting has a certain amount of significance. When we talk about Uranus, and we talk about awakening, and we talk about authenticity, and we talk about the impact that has on our external reality, it starts internally. It's an inner knowing. It's an inner expansiveness. It's an inner quantum leap. Now, sometimes opportunities can occur from outside, but I don't always. It's the inner creates the outer, and it's very possible that with Uranus's entry into Taurus in 2018, that the kind of tumult that this planet causes, rebelliousness, handing us a compass that really shows us where our true north is, and sometimes that compass can be powerful enough and seemingly chaotic and rebellious enough that we may not fully know, we may not have grown into how to harness and manage those energies. Does that make sense? So if, for example, you started a career in advertising and some way you have realized that you want to be, I'm making this up, a head of marketing, and all of a sudden with Uranus's entry into a certain part of your chart that's trying to facilitate some aspect of this, you realize that certain situations won't work, and you have a vision for what it is that you're looking for, and anything that does not meet that vision is not accepted into the fold because that inner knowing is so strong. It could be that it's about 4 or 5 years of floundering to figure out, well, I have the sense of inner vision, but how do I get the internal quantum leap with regard to the vision that I know is right for me, but how do I manage things externally so I can be in that place? I don't feel like I have the this or the that or that, and I may simply, even if I don't think it, I may not have it simply behaviorally because I may not be there. And it could be that this conjunction, as we head toward in the next few days on the 31st and the 1st of Uranus Mars in the North Node, that as we head to it, it's like the first phase of this is somehow coming to an end, and we feel much more equipped to create this external reality that matches up with our I hesitate to use the word values, but that's somewhere thrown into it because, again, it's the inner that's going to create the outer. It's that inner knowing, it's that inner tapping into what is right for us. And knowing that, especially with Uranus, it's going to come up against convention. So other people saying, I think this is what is better, or I think you should stick to this, or other conventional ways of doing things are not, there's an inner sense of, your path and whatever that is. And it could be that as a result of what we're getting to, this new moon inaugurates not an immediate, but perhaps a 7, 8, 9 month process of us starting to create this reality that is in alignment with this Uranus transit in Taurus since 2018. Okay, when the new moon is trining a stationary Jupiter, and when Jupiter is transiting between two signs, Pisces and Aries, in its sojourn, Jupiter has been in Aries since May and has been creating and ending a 12-year cycle and starting a 12-year cycle, a new 12-year cycle. But the work now gets not interrupted, but there are things, but adjusted by Jupiter's start of retrograde motion, and then in October and November, actually November and December, dipping back into Pisces to finish the new beginning of a 12-year cycle that it started, let's for the sake of simplicity say, between January and May of this year. So the work that Jupiter has done in Aries gets to be completed between January and May of next year. And after that, Jupiter enters Taurus, where this conjunction is occurring. This new moon starts the process of transforming the Taurus section of our chart. I know it's occurring in Leo, bear with me. The Taurus section of our chart in alignment with what is right for us, and starts that rather uncomfortable process of requiring courage and application to move forward on our path and no longer be in a stage of envisioning, but in a place of action. And the only thing that keeps us from this action is the fear and the lack of confidence that it's stuff that we don't know. It's our own way of doing things. So it's not tried and tested, but we have a sense of what we want to try for. And it could be that it takes several tries, or it could be that it takes more phone calls than you thought it might. It could be, but there's a need for application, and there's a need for adjustment. The reason why I'm saying this is that the nodes and Jupiter next year change signs. Jupiter comes into Taurus to create and end a 12-year cycle and start a 12-year cycle in alignment with the work that it's doing in Aries, and in alignment with all the work that it's always doing. And then the nodes move into Aries next year. And this handoff is really, it's important because the work that is being done in Taurus with the North Node and the eclipses there isn't complete. It continues to grow and develop next year. And this conversation between the Aries and the Taurus part of our chart is very significant. Very significant. There could be things that occur in the Taurus part of our chart this year that are much more about learning and teaching and tapping us into the authenticity and giving us certain things, but also displaying to us what about those things that we may have thought are what we're looking for are unsatisfactory. And through that process, then prompting us to create and go after what is satisfactory, trying to create this quantum leap of, well, you thought this was going to be it, but it's not turning out to be, but it is showing you what the conditions are that will make an it. So now are you going to go after the it now that you understand what it is? Sometimes when the nodes, sometimes it can mean courses change, it can, but expect from the new moon in Leo forward that By all means, explore the opportunity in all conversations that are occurring. And the conversations are important because the Mercury opposition to Saturn and the Mercury in Leo square to the Uranus Mars North Node conjunction. Often with Mercury, we have to allow it to give it a rest because our minds can, not in this instance, we may find that if we allow it to, our intuition and our mental capabilities for once are quite aligned, and actually there's a lot being relied on as far as Mercury is concerned, because Mercury is the fastest moving planet in this T-square with Saturn and Mercury and the node and North Node Mars, and somewhere our ability to think through, communicate, pay attention, if we allow it to, that alignment will be there. There may be situations that can correct themselves or where conversations can happen. The conversations and the thinking and the communication are going to act as catalysts because it is going to be through those conversations that you may be asked to come in alignment with Saturn in Aquarius. Um, um, and I've done a video on Saturn and Aquarius. I think it was like the third video prior to the last two that I did. And Saturnian principles, and making sure that whatever decisions are being made are responsive and are taking into account the lessons that you need to learn that Saturn has been trying to teach you, 2021, 2022. It may be that through these conversations something is being integrated and you're entering conversations and communications where you are, for once, courageous enough, not for once, I shouldn't say that, courageous enough to be able to speak your truth, but also explore, is there an opportunity for alignment here? Or is this a situation that is going to need to be ended in order for this new, truly aligned, but slightly frightening because it is not here yet and I don't know how much work it will take, this course, this path that we are meant to walk through? Knowing and understanding that Jupiter as it goes retrograde, and I'm going to do a separate video of Jupiter retrograde after this one, is starting a process of integration with the work that is to be built. Something about this new, whatever this new moon inaugurates is going to develop over time, and it is part of the story. And it could be that over the next month being derived from moon, developments occur that propel that story forward. And the developments are of a kind where you are able to determine and start to determine what is going to stay and what is going to go, and base it on what is right for you, even if conventionally it feels like you're doing stupid things, but you're being governed by an inner compass. Please take responsibility for all your actions and all your decision making. And if you're going to do the kind of proverbial tarot fool thing, be clear about what you're doing and what you're taking on. There's something about these transits that will propel that kind of authenticity. And there will likely be, as the year continues to progress, and especially as we deal with the September milestone for the eclipse and the November milestone for the eclipse, the Taurus eclipses I'm talking about, September 8th, 2 months before the November 8th eclipse to be specific, developments will continue, but this transformation that this conjunction and this new moon are beginning, and it is a transformation of growth and alignment. You will feel, the new moon I think just occurred as I've been doing this video, and you're going to feel a greater sense of alignment and power. And I would say tap into that. And I would say watch what develops. Let's give this kind of a 9-month gestation. Because it's August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March. Well, really, April. Fine, April. Takes us practically into May when Jupiter gets ready to leave Aries and into Taurus. It's a preparation for something, and somewhere it is aligning with the integration that the Jupiter retrograde process between now and around Thanksgiving time, the end of November, is going to require. That does not mean that there will not be developments. That does not mean there will not be opportunities. That does not mean that there will not be endings. That does not mean that there will not be discomfort when it comes to really determining what feels right for you. And somewhere with Uranus, it's a question of, am I happy in this space no matter how laborious it is, or am I unhappy in this space? Do I feel like I have somehow compromised myself or accepted certain situations and behaviors that are against what it is that these powerful planetary transits or my insides are trying to prompt me to develop and become? Can I see the developments that have occurred as a result of these eclipses since last September as stepping stones and lessons and opportunities and growth, as opposed to doing sort of spirit's work of envisioning what I thought these would be, or the destination? Leave the destination thinking out of it. Be clear about what your compass states. Be clear about how you feel about a situation, what feels right for you, and start the journey. Actually, starting a journey while Jupiter is stationary, I'm going to say that the journey has already started. The journey started when Jupiter entered Aries in May. The journey has already started. And part of this journey started in 2018 when Uranus entered Taurus. There's one more transit, Venus squaring Chiron. Financially, relationship-wise, if you know where Aries is in your chart and what this Chiron in Aries is trying to heal there, but it's also, Chiron's healing is very much about exposing you to the wound and getting you to discover and understand the wound so that it can be healed. It's not a comfortable process. It's not a magic wand. It is a recognition that it's time to heal something, but then it has to also be examined in order to be healed properly. Somewhere, it's a temporary thing, but over the next month, you may deal with this kind of push and pull from a financial and a relationship perspective related to this healing. So if you know where Cancer sits in your chart and how that impacts your relationships and finances, and where the healing is trying to occur in the Aries part of your chart, just, typically I won't dwell on this because it's a quick transit. But because it's encoded into this new moon, as you're dealing with the expansive energies that the other transits are causing and the chaos, the internal chaos of the right kind, perhaps, because that's what creates the alignment. Somewhere you may also be dealing with issues related to finance and relationships and the healing in the Aries part of your chart. That discomfort might be there. And by virtue of a Chiron transit, it may have to do with healing the old that kind of has to be dealt with in order to continue down this path of alignment. The rulership of this new moon is very simple. It's the sun in Leo. Done. And the sun is in Leo. And the new moon is in the Leo part of your chart. So where does Leo sit? And what house does it occupy? And what does that house stand for? That's where a lot of this power is going to come from. That's where a lot of this communication is going to come from, and that's what a lot of this communication is going to be about, that gets these wheels and these transits in motion. Okay? I will leave it at that. Happy new moon in Leo. Remember to take advantage of August, because it's still technically, Jupiter is an outer planet. It still is a month of forward momentum for us. By the time we get to the beginning of September, and September 5th especially, Mercury is going to start to get retrograde. So I would absolutely endeavor to make hay. I would get in alignment, get on the horse, and get moving. Just know that what is developing is a 9 to 10 month process. So just give it that time. Just know that it is about that journey. But do not assume that opportunities will not arise. Do not assume that. They will. And conversations will arise. And getting on and off horses and on and off trains, look at my last two videos, that is going to be operating internally and with external repercussions as we head into August and September. And when the opportunities come, we're talking Jupiter here to some extent, recognize them. More of those opportunities, I'm not going to keep diving into minutiae, but just it's not a time of inaction, this particular new moon cycle. Okay? I will leave it at that. Share, like, comment, Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Click on the bell icon and the wiggly icon, the symbol on top of that bell icon to be notified whenever I do new videos, and I will leave it at that. Take care.